I'm getting my YouTube live. I'm a third time today. Sorry. I don't know. Are we hearing our feedback, or is that just?
I'm not hearing it. I heard just a little, you couldn't hear it, but I heard something, but you couldn't make that what it was saying.
Okay, so I think we're good then. Now I think we're good.
Got all the boxes in the right place.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take some time to tell you guys about the kitchen, what we do, and then we'll, very casually ask me questions, stop me if you have anything that you want to ask about. So I wanted to start by just telling you a little about me. I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. I went to Florida State University on a scholarship there for study biology. Let's see. I don't like public speaking, so I'll start with that. I think everybody here probably realizes this at this point. So I went to Florida State University. I was going to start a PhD program there and decided that I needed to explore what it is that I really wanted to do. My heart wasn't in it. It was a immunology program. And I decided after some exploration, I discovered the science field. I've worked in restaurants, kind of pay my way, kind of get spending money through college and graduate school. It's always been a constant in my life. I love to cook. This is just some pictures I threw together. And I love to hike with my husband and our 2 dogs, and we garden. So we have mostly tomatoes and flowers. Some background about me. So at Mountain Rivers Kitchen, we work hand in hand with entrepreneurs to grow their food businesses. So our goal is to stimulate the regional food economy by growing successful food businesses. Planning for the kitchen started in 2005 with the town of Unicoi leadership and a group of volunteers as a way to teach skills, promote the region's local agriculture asset, and provide a certified commercial kitchen space for food entrepreneurs to test their ideas and launch their food businesses. When the railroad closed in 2015, the kitchen took on a renewed importance as well as its objective for economic development. The project was awarded major financial support from the USDA and EPA. The location and building was purchased in 2015, and the facility opened in 2017. So I think it kind of covers the history. A lot of you guys were a part of that history before me. I started in 2017 and was part of the opening of the facility. So food and food-related businesses are a really important part of every local economy. This is a link. I'll share this presentation if anyone wants to see it afterwards. This is a link to a white paper that is part of a mayor's project, I think it was in Minnesota, that has some really good information if you're interested in learning more about local food levers and economic development for local government. Basically, food entrepreneurs are small businesses. They source locally, they hire locally, and they spend locally. So, in other words, spending locally creates more local wealth and local jobs. So, this graph actually is from a study in Austin, Texas, showing that independent restaurants return about twice as much money to the local economy as chain restaurants, so something like Charlie's or Applebee's. So revenue from local independent restaurants really stays in our community. So that's really why we're doing this, why we care about it. So food business incubator, the term refers to a culinary production facility that's dedicated to growing early stage wholesale and retail food businesses. There are about 200 incubators across the United States. The nearest one to us is in Asheville, about 45 minutes away, an hour away. And actually this week, an incubator opened in Knoxville. And so that's really exciting for us because we help them get started. We help them establish their procedures. We help connect them with equipment buyers. We're going to take credit for that in our economic development, but that's really exciting to have them growing. I think of what we do at MHK as sort of three arms. So we provide access to affordable access to the infrastructure. So it's a certified facility, commercial equipment. We provide technical expertise. So we help people with product development, food handling, packaging, regulatory guidance, and business strategy. And then we also provide a network. So, in and of itself, it's a shared use facility, so people can network with the other users. We also have a full network of technical advisors, retailers, distributors, suppliers, and business advisors that we kind of pull people into when they become a part of that community. So I'll start with the facility right here. So it's like I mentioned, it's a certified inspected manufacturing facility. That's really important when you talk about commercial food. We are inspected by the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Health. If you were pretty much any type of food product that you're going to make and sell, you need to do it in a certified inspected space. There are some caveats to that rule. There are some exceptions, but generally speaking, pretty much if you're selling food, it has to be inspected. We offer multiple work zones at the kitchen, so it really is truly a shared use facility. We offer dry and cold and frozen storage, and it's 24-hour processing. That's a picture of somebody working at a bottling line. You guys have all visited the facility, but I just have these from a different presentation. So we have, different work areas, the main prep area, the bake prep area, the filler line, and research and development. Typically, I think I have this on another slide, but the main prep area and the bake prep area are really the busiest rooms for us, get used multiple times a week. So I think it's important for everyone, it's a part of the leadership group to understand, so they can communicate to people how much the facility costs. So we rent out the facility on an hourly basis, and generally the best way to describe it is it's between $15 and $25 an hour to rent space at the kitchen. So single hours are rented for $25 an hour, or you can bulk purchase hours and really reduce costs. And so this is really meant to incentivize people that are long-term clients that are there working multiple times in the month. So this is just an example of the calendar view from December, just last month. I just think it's a nice visual to show this is our booking platform of what our day-to-day looks like. So as you can see, we're booked about 5, 6, 7 days a week. We do have these are different clients, so we do have multiple users using the space. Sometimes these are different rooms, so it looks like actually this is the same room just at different times, but here there's some overlap. The different colors signify the different rooms. But there is opportunity for growth being a 24-hour facility. So new clients getting started, it's a process. Typically it begins with an advising session where I meet with the new client that has the business idea and try and get an understanding of what it is that they're trying to do. And they in turn get an understanding of what we do and how we can help them. That process depends on where the client is and in the scope of their business. Have they started? Sometimes they have started when they come and reach out to us and they're looking to grow, or sometimes they have a concept, that isn't even defined. So it just depends on where they are in that process. Before any client starts working at the facility, we go through a training that is really emphasized and focused on food safety. understand that it's important that everyone that works there understands safe food preparation procedures, that they understand the expectations. They need to clean up after themselves, how to do that, how they're going to be checked on their work. They need to understand the regulatory requirements for their product, how to produce, package, label, and store their products safely, and prevent and control any potential hazards of foodborne illness. So that's really where the priority is when we go through that training. Like I mentioned, everybody's different. So starting a business really is a journey, and we work with different kinds of clients with different kinds of business ideas, and it's different for everybody. So my background is in food science and food safety, and so I can be helpful in food product development, food handling, equipment training, food safety, regulatory compliance, sourcing, packaging, and distribution. Other things that we help with are marketing, where to get your business license, who to talk to about accounting, how to read a profit and loss statement. These are all things that new businesses are going to be challenged with, and we may not be the expert in everything, but most often we can connect them with someone that is, an expert and can help them with that field faster than they might be able to find it themselves. So a lot of times the conversation with new clients starts with who regulates their product. So as I mentioned, the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Health inspect our facility. We are also certified through the Department of Agriculture by the FDA for our facility. So anything that is a packaged product falls into the Department of Agriculture's scope. So that would be like the barbecue sauces, that we gave out a while ago, the spice blends, anything that's really in a package that's meant to stand on a shelf and be sold through that avenue is the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Health inspects caterers, restaurants, food trucks, and that would be that type of client for us, and some other things as well. So interestingly, even though they're interpreting the same federal laws, they interpret them a little bit different. So the department, and this may be too much information, but the Department of Agriculture permits the Mountain Harvest Kitchen facility and each individual business that's set up there. So there's more liability associated with a product that has a longer shelf life, essentially. So that's why they've chosen to do that. The Department of Health only permits the Mountain Harvest Kitchen. So it's interesting that that's how it works. So basically what that means to a new client is if you are a caterer, the barrier to get started working at the kitchen is very low. You can just come in and start, go through that training with us and then get started. So that's pretty nice in that way, for those clients. And then the Department of Agriculture, they have to go through some steps and hurdles to get that permit. So that's some information there. This is a slide that's from a specialty foods workshop that we hosted in the entrepreneur series. And basically, I'm just showing it to demonstrate that all of the clients, they need to know their stuff. It's important for them to understand their costs, understand their consumer, and understand their value proposition. So like what makes their product special? That is, from the beginning, they need to know these things. Otherwise, they're just not going to succeed. So something as seemingly simple as a food product label is actually really complicated beyond just, what's legally required. This label needs to stand out on a shelf and tell the story of their product and their brand, because they're not going to be there necessarily to do it. So there's a lot that goes into developing these products and developing these business ideas. This is a picture of this is our first client that started at MHK. They were a jam maker. They were already in a trajectory to open their space in Virginia, and they moved out about a year after they started. So I kind of mentioned some of the different client types, but we can group them into these categories. So packaged foods is one of the client types that we serve. So the products that can be made at our facility is really dependent on our permits and our equipment. So that really defines who can use the space. So all of these examples can be made at our facility. So that beverages, dressings, jams, salsas, dips, seasonings, pickles, meat alternatives, shelf-stable fruits, vegetables, flavored oils, vinegars, soups, syrups, baking mixes, candies, cheese alternatives, anything you can really imagine. There are some things that aren't on this list that, are equipment driven. So it just kind of depends on what we're capable of. Food trucks can also use our space, as well as food carts. Bakers, that's been a really popular client group that's used this space. So people that sell at farmers markets, do weddings, etc. And caterers, that's a big group as well. And then the non-commercial users, so someone that's home canning and not making a product for commerce. So I want to tell some stories about some of our processing clients. Comfort Foods is one of those that started at MHK in January 2019. They attended a specialty foods workshop in our Food Entrepreneur Series and had their first production day in November of 2019. Sorry, I didn't realize that was on your screen too. In June 2020, they are now carried across the Southeast in over 20 store locations, and they're in a couple of stores locally as well. So I think that's an incredible success story, the way that they've grown, and they're still working at our facility. Fit Clean Meals also has a really unique story. They started in May 2018. They answered actually a Craigslist ad that one of our vendors at Food Corridor had advertised, cold called and set up a tour. They started in November. They had their first production day. So you've probably heard me tell this story a couple times before, but if you haven't, I'll repeat it. But Fit Clean Meals does these frozen packaged meal subscriptions that are sold to clients on a weekly basis. They, when they started, they were set up selling mostly to people that, for convenience need quick meals for lunches that are working people, teachers, hairdressers, etc. That, wanted a convenient way to get lunch that didn't require having to go out, that was healthy. When COVID hit, they lost dramatically a lot of their sales, like very quickly. And it was a pretty scary situation. We, as a team, there was a call out from the First Tennessee Development District, the Center for Aging and Disability, to support local restaurants, and there were contracts available to get local restaurants providing meals to aging seniors. So we connected the dots and helped AJ secure that contract. And since he grew and was able to, he was producing 1,500 meals a week. So that was, a really, really neat success story in the midst of, some really trying times. Interestingly, a lot of restaurants were not set up to do packaged products. So it was, they didn't have the containers, they didn't have the procedures in place, they weren't set up to do these to-go meals. And so because AJ's business, Fit Clean Meals, was set up this way from the beginning, they were able to pick up contracts in other counties. So they were delivering, and I think they still are delivering to about 5 counties in our area, which is pretty neat. So some of those contracts have actually ended this year. So he is going to be dropping down his use of the facility. Some of them have sustained, but his personal meal subscription has kind of grown up where it was before COVID, and he still has some of these contract jobs. So it's a pretty neat story. Crumb is a baker that uses Mountain Harvest Kitchen. They started in March of 2018 as J-Bake. The past couple of years, they've been weekly baking at the facility, testing menu ideas and concepts. We've hosted several events with them at the facility. They taught some bread baking classes, and some pop-ups. And very soon they're going to be opening their space. I just went to tour maybe last month, their new restaurant space in downtown Johnson City. So that's really exciting. Lazy Lady Baking Company is similarly a bakery that started at MHK around the same time. They attended a workshop that we hosted and started production at MHK in March of 2018. They have been building their brand, selling to area coffee shops, farmers markets, and online customers. She's really built a loyal customer base in 2021. So this year she's planning to open her space in Atelier 133, which is an artist shared co-working space also in downtown Johnson City. Some pretty cool success stories. So classes and workshops. Since we've started in 2017, we've hosted 60 classes and workshops with 885 attendees. As you saw in those stories, those workshops really are a pipeline for getting new clients into the facility. So it's really important for us to continue to do those, education-wise, and then also, our workshops for the community, like teaching cooking classes, I think is really important for telling what we do and sharing in the community with about what we do. And this is a kids program on the bottom right that we hosted with the Department of Health. It was part of the Pavilion grant. We partnered with YMCA to host some kids classes. The dietitian from Food City taught those, and they're really successful. So this is just sort of a sampling of the classes from when we first started. We've hosted pressure canning workshops, like seasonal cooking classes. Bread baking has been very popular. Chocolate making. We've brought in some chefs from all over the region. They've been very popular, and they mostly sell out. In the beginning, we were doing lots and lots of classes, and then as our client base sort of took off, our time basically was spent working with clients, and so we kind of shifted from more promoting the services to actually providing those services. And this year, obviously, with COVID, we have not been able to host as many classes as we wanted to, and I think we've only hosted 2 since COVID. So it's been a slow year in that arm. This was, I mentioned the Entrepreneurs Workshop Series. So this is more of the classroom setting where folks come and attend maybe a day-long workshop and really get some facts and some information about how to start their business. This was really successful, and we plan to host some of these classes again. I think annual basis or thereabouts is appropriate, because we're always there are always new people interested in the food world. In 2019, we embarked on a very public strategic planning session to really get the region involved with what we're doing and engage our thought leaders, explore opportunities that we may not have overturned for the organization, and refine our messaging and really get everyone speaking the same language about what it is that we do and how we do it. So I love this picture because it was very successful. We had a lot of people attend from all different sectors. So this is our inspector. These are people from specialty food stores, retailers. It was a really neat session where we got input from all different types of stakeholders, and I think it was really great. So entrepreneurial networks, are essential for what we do. Entrepreneurs are most successful when they have access to human, financial, and professional resources they need to operate in an environment where government can encourage and safeguard entrepreneurs. So helping connect entrepreneurs with that network of regional professionals is, like I mentioned, is super important and a big part of what we do. We focus on the entrepreneur, and our support network helps them break down those artificial barriers to getting started and help them through their challenges as new business owners. So I pulled some of these are from the strategic plan. So really, since the plan, we focus, we've done a lot, I think, on all arms, but I would say that building our user base has been something that we've prioritized and been a focus since the plan, and telling our clients stories. So we use social platforms to do that. So we put out about a monthly newsletter where we highlight the clients, explain what they do, kind of put current events in there. We use Facebook to share information. We do a lot of sharing of other other networks, things that are going on. And then we also use Instagram to talk about unique stories, happenings at the kitchen, and share other people in the network and what they're doing. This graph shows the hours, MHK hours rented. So I mentioned, growth has been a priority for us this year, and you can see that. So 2020, this is the blue line here, and hours rented. This is 2019, and this is when we got started. So down to 0.
Does that include storage also?
No, this is
That's
just
food
hours rented. Yes, for food production. And then this next graph is earned revenue. So this would include revenue from storage, and in addition to rental space. So like this, 2020 December versus December 2019, that's a 100% increase. I think I have the actual numbers here. So about $3,700 versus 17.
Lee, when you were talking about Fit and Clean, and he does the 1,500 meals per week, what does he pay in rent to the kitchen to do 1,500 meals per week?
I believe his average monthly invoice is around $2,000, $1,500.
Okay, and what does he make off those 1,500 meals? Are they $10 a meal, or?
Yeah, they're about $8 to $10 a meal.
How much a month does he pay?
He pays about $1,500 to $2,000.
About $1 per meal for rest of it.
She said 1,500 meals a week.
Oh, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they're
Worse.
$10,
Sorry.
that's $15,000 a week that he's making.
Mhm.
Of course, I know he's got cost of the food.
Well, he has employees too, so he has about 10 employees.
Okay. Okay, and you said that the rent that he would pay was how much?
I think his monthly bill is close to $2,000, maybe do $1,800.
But that includes his shelves and his freezer space and everything.
And how long has he been producing there?
He's been producing since 2018.
And how long does he want to stay?
I think he wants to stay. He
Well, why
actually,
wouldn't you want to stay?
See, I have a problem with him wanting to stay forever.
Interesting.
I'd love to have had somebody that bought me a business and let me have no liabilities.
Well, he still has risk as a business owner. I mean, he actually moved to Unicoi to be closer to the kitchen. He's bought property here. I mean, I think that's great for economic development. And
Well, he's got 2 vans over there that probably might bring $1,000 a piece. And if he needs to shut down this month, all he has to do is tell you I'm shutting down and pay you the balance, and his liabilities is over with, unless he owes from labor and food costs. So I know what you're doing, but I just don't see that we need to give somebody a place to work from now on. I think there ought to be a limit of when his time should be.
mm-hmm.
I don't know what you people think, but
Well, the goal is to get them out on their own.
Well,
I mean, that's the goal, is to
Right.
get their business started and
right.
knock them out of the
Yeah,
nest.
that
It's time
is
to
the
go,
goal.
blah.
And I think, I think that what is important for most incubators have anchor tenants. So these are people that are here working, weekly, and they bring in a steady revenue stream. So we don't negotiate based on the client, but a lot of incubators do. They have, a contract lease with them for, monthly fee or whatever annual fee. There's an incubator, the oldest rural incubator is about 20 years old in Ohio. They have been open for about 20 years. They've had clients that have been there for 20 years. I understand. I think that it just depends on what it is that we're trying to accomplish. If we care about bringing in revenue, then I think we want them to stay. If we care about creating, if we want, the goal is to get people out, and private sector investment is what we're after, then, maybe not. But I think that, the way that our facility is structured now, we do not have a time limit and a term limit on when someone is expected to leave. You know, the bakers are planning to leave. That's always been their goal. His business is set up differently, right? So he's a caterer. Eventually he might grow to where he needs that space. He wants that independence. He doesn't like the structure. But you know, we don't have it right now. We don't have a term limit. I mean,
Has
it's
he
something we
ever
could
said
consider,
what his cost of sales are? In other words,
like food costs.
yeah, does he make 50%?
What's it, what's his,
I mean,
what's his
profit
bottom
margins-
line? Was what-
Profit margins are very low in food. You know, I don't think I'd really feel comfortable. If I did know that, I don't think I should really share that with everybody, right? I mean,
Yeah, I was just curious.
Well, I think
if
you
he
should
had ever
because
mentioned
we're
if
helping
he'd ever-
support his business.
I can talk to him and ask him if he wants to share that
Or-
information.
I
I don't
guess-
know it offhand.
That question leads to the answer is are we really helping anyone or not? Or are we just helping them to limp along? Are they gonna ever fly their wings? Or if they didn't have our money to supplement them, would they even make it? If he had to be on his own if he's doing 6,000 meals a month, he needs to be on his own. My feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's an interesting perspective. I mean, the only way that we can control that, right, is to change our procedures and our policies. And so right now, that's not in our policy.
Well, I got a question. So you mentioned the strategic plan. I've gone through it pretty good. And are we following the strategic plan that they made suggestions here?
I believe we are.
Well, I'll give you an idea. It has here that it actually, all these comments came out of this thing. It says the revenue outlook is based on a 2013 study that stated that a positive revenue would be realized in year 3 of operation. Well, that never happened. And then it states,
I think what strategic plan are you talking about? Are you talking about this
one.
strategic plan?
yes,
I don't think we ever declared that we would have positive revenue outlooks.
okay, just stop. For people who don't have access, Debbie,
So that's an old strategic plan that was
just
part of the
Debbie,
feasibility study.
Wanda, have you seen this?
This was for this last year we just finished.
Right, so the one in your
Okay,
hand,
okay.
Judy, is the current one. So the one that
Okay,
Roger
okay,
has
okay, now,
is an older one.
this is the plan that was sold to the board
Before you ever got here.
before you ever got here.
Right.
Okay, this is the plan that sold this idea to the board in this town, okay? And in year 3, you're supposed to be making, excuse me, the kitchen, not you, $19,356. Now, I don't know, Debbie, you got one? You ever seen one of these? Pass that down.
This is the original
Who came up with this, that got this,
plan.
who actually came up with this, play with these figures, do you know?
I wasn't here, but
Okay.
I know this is what the town was sold on, okay? I
You
was
don't
back,
know if it's the people that had, that from the economic, or from the, people that give the,
if you ever put it
I
all
was-
together.
I was on the board then. This was the business plan that was attached with the grant.
I started to say was the grant people.
It was
Is that the one
attached.
that came up
Right,
with that, the
okay.
grant?
No,
No, they didn't.
this is what was
the
attached
town- this is
to
what
the
the
grant
town-
application.
Yeah. When they
That it
signed
would be
in.
this profitable.
Right, okay, so moving on. And it talks about,
Can I comment though before? So part of the 5-year strategic plan was to reset these goals. So this strategic plan that Alderman Vice Mayor Cooper has given out was part of the feasibility study as Mayor Malone mentioned, and the EDA grant. So that was, I believe, in 2012. And so part of planning for the facility.
well,
And
I,
so when we started the strategic plan in 2019, it was really to reset those expectations because we realized, you know, the way it was planned is not how it actually came to fruition. So there are a lot of
but if
differences
you're
there.
missing the boat, this is what the town was sold on, okay? Now, let me keep, all this came out of here. And it talks about, the plan mentioned 2 ways to increase revenue. First is to expand the user base, which you mentioned. And second is to diversify funding by seeking additional physical sponsors and partners, okay? And it talked about the plan states that the focus on businesses in their early stages. And as she mentioned, until they graduate to their own dedicated brick and mortar production space. That's right out of here. And it talks about the plan continues to mention that the MHK is a regional kitchen, which it is, okay? And one major item it talks about in the plan is to achieve long-term sustainability of the kitchen is to diversify revenue and funding streams. So my question to you, have we gone out and searched for funding streams?
Yes, we have. Since I started in 2017, we brought in over $230,000.
But has it gone toward supporting the kitchen?
It has
Funding
gone
the
towards,
kitchen.
Or has it been to buy equipment?
That's not for equipment, so that's for projects, classes. That includes the pavilion grant, so projects, as part of the umbrella.
Okay, let me keep going. Other tactics to diversify funding is to pursue meetings with potential funders, okay? Identify and connect with high potential users, communities in the region, Johnson City, Elizabeth, and et cetera, okay? Seek partners and funders that reflect the regional impact of the MHK's programming. Could Food City help us? Could Flaming Foods or somebody help us, okay? Again, everything come out of here. And the ecosystem refers to the environment of organizations, institutions, businesses, and individuals that can serve to support and advance entrepreneurship in a city or region. It says, I agree with this thing. This plan aims to emphasize MHK as a critical asset to the region's food system, not just a town of Unicoi, and as such, you feel confident seeking new funding partners to help support MHK's ongoing operation. Okay. So, I'm going through here and again, everything I mentioned came out of here. Okay. I went through the hours you gave me and looking at meals, it's on the equation. The remaining Unicoi users, if you subtract pick clean meals and the economic development board, is about 44 hours and 3 years of operation. This is the hours you gave me.
That's the same thing I got on my calculation.
Okay.
What is that you're calculating?
How many hours of town of Unicoi people or Unicoi people used it if we take out pick clean meals and a couple more, okay? Now presently the major funding, this is out of it, major funding for MHK comes from town of Unicoi, of which is of great concern that many of us board members and citizens of the town. Last year, the projected dollars that was transferred to MHK from the general fund is about $108,000. Now, in this year's budget is 144. So this strategic plan keeps mentioning that to go out and search for groups that will help fund it. We, the town, are funding it totally right now. So,
Right, I mean, that's how it was planned, that's how it was started, and I think, personally, we all want this to be a sustainable venture. Everyone that is a part of it, everybody that's on the board, and we are following our strategic plan to get to that point.
well,
Can I ask a couple questions first? Just as an interim. I think your expertise is amazing. Your credibility, your background. I think you're absolutely well suited for that food science, all that stuff. I think the presentation you just gave us can be a very impressive presentation. I just want to know how many other audiences have seen that presentation. Has this presentation been given? And just again, financially, I think that's the biggest thorn in the side. I think we were sold a pig in a poke. I think we were misled. I think the original grant, that was supposed to be a community harvest kitchen, but the grant did not make it through at a higher level by a little bird that said, you can get this through if you make it a food incubator, entrepreneurial And so that's when that entrepreneurial food incubator idea got injected into the kitchen. So all of a sudden the plan for the kitchen took a turn. And I think the town ended up buying a pig and a poke. That's my opinion. Financially, the town should not be responsible for such an expensive venture. This is not a community service the town signed up for. However, it's impressive. It's impressive. So based on this strategic plan right here that you have, objective 1, ensure the long-term sustainability of the kitchen. 1B says, the only source is from the town and what revenue is generated. Mountain Harvest Kitchen could build a strong case that it serves the region and as such should have broader fiscal support, not just from other regional governments or economic development, but also philanthropic organizations and mission-aligned corporate donors. How many of those people have been presented with what the kitchen has been accomplishing? How many of those people have been invited to come on board and join?
I think it's a process, and I think part of that was initiating this plan, inviting people to that session, bringing people into the conversation. I have presented at Rotary clubs, economic development boards. I've given this presentation before. I don't, does that answer your question?
No, well, continuing on, it may be that the right stakeholders or potential stakeholders haven't been identified. Okay, I just keep that thought in your mind in a minute.
Right,
I say this.
I definitely,
As
we
I
all believe that
say,
there's room for potential.
well, as I say this, redefine the organizational structure, leadership, and networks. Do we need to build a task force of people, invite economic development from the region and invite them in to be on a task force with us to achieve this goal? Now, I've had those conversations with economic development here, and I've got the list over there in my drawer. I could not write as fast as the potential people and organizations were being provided to me. And I thought, well, that was one phone call for me. Why haven't we thought about these people? Is your kitchen committee giving you this kind of leadership or no? What do they provide for you?
The kitchen committee helps with the planning of the facility. They were a big part in that process. They're helpful in spreading the word in the community about the programs. They're champions of the project. Right now, on the last slide, we're going.
Yeah, we went off on a conversation before you were quite finished.
We are restructuring that leadership structure. Okay, that's a duplicate of words. So, a task force, we could call it that, but we're thinking of, a advisory committee, and then maybe Friends of Mount Harvest Kitchen, but a group of people that is well connected, that can be that
accomplish
source.
These things.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is very important, and we need that to then go to the next level, right? So it's steps. This isn't just overnight, right?
Because the goal for me,
the
goal for me is to reduce the financial burden on the town of Unicoi. That is the goal, simply. The process, the ideas, your expertise, it's great. It's great. It'd be hard pressed for somebody to compete with you, I think, with all this. I do. But the financial burden on the town, I lose sleep at night. I can't.
Well, Kathy, when you were on the board, did the innovation at East Tennessee State University was supposed to have got involved in that?
They did, and I think the grant had to get that entrepreneurial injection.
And I don't think anybody ever went back to that. I think that lady's name, from what I understood, was Arby. I mean,
she's on our committee. She's very helpful. She's on our advisory committee.
As far as getting those monetary funds from those.
We don't get.
These are one-time dollars here.
Yeah,
right.
So
we need sustainable.
My question is, if you go to page 29, I believe over here, it tells
tells
you all the different places in there right now.
Some potential.
This is little office in there writes the final checks for, keep this kitchen open. And let's just suppose that you was at you got yourself invited to go make a presentation to a CEO and his board of directors. And you want money every year from him to help keep his kitchen open. Why would he want to give this project money?
I think people are.
What can it do for
passionate
him? What can it do for a CEO that's listed in here? Why would he want to give his iron cash to this project? Because if we can't do that, I don't know how we can keep dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars in. I mean, I've just got 3 or 4 years here. After it was built, we're over $500,000 now.
See,
And you're getting $4,000 a month?
See, I think unfortunately, this kitchen took a turn that citizens and board members weren't fully aware of. And I think I've explained that to you before. You're having to bear the brunt of something that you didn't have anything.
It's not your fault.
You're bearing the brunt of something you have no responsibility for, except for you're in the position you're in. We've had that conversation. Okay. I think the town has to figure out with you what we're gonna do moving forward. I think you have the recruiting, for businesses, that sort of stuff it's good. The base of that is good. And you have success stories to build on. You didn't have that earlier. You've got success stories now. We've got to figure out the funding piece. That's my huge concern, is the funding piece.
That's the citizens.
Yes.
The citizens is
concern.
crying for this.
My intent has never been to shut the kitchen down, which is what the rumor was always said about me, that we have to do something to figure out some new funding streams if the kitchen is going to survive. I want the kitchen to survive, but we're going to have to figure something out. And I think we're going to have to call it a task force, and call it whatever we want to call it. But I think we're going to have to be very strategic. And I think that's something we're going to need to work on. One more thing as well is in this, there was a consideration if it would be beneficial if Mountain Harvest Kitchen became a 501c3. I don't have the expertise to know if that would be a benefit or not. Would that be a benefit potentially in organizations or businesses wanting to kind of come on board with us? I don't know if that'd be a benefit or not. I don't know what all the ins and outs, the financial impact of the ins and outs.
Yeah,
Of being
that's
a
something we
501c3.
were exploring for that reason. Would it be easier to get a sponsorship? And we did research, and you can offer tax deductible donations to towns, so you do not need to be set up as a 501c3. So
That would be the primary
would be
benefit,
right.
the primary benefit, if we went to the CEO of a corporation. I mean, that would be one incentive.
Let me lay some numbers out that you all might want to write down. And all the numbers I pulled came from the yearly audits. Through about 2020, the town has got $898,632 from the general fund into the kitchen. And that includes the purchase of the land and the building and all the marks. If you add up, and we took, and Debbie can probably verify, we took the 2020 projected loss is going to be about 108. Am I close, Debbie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right now, through when I did this in June or July, we have, including the grants, $1,589,000 in the kitchen, which is an extremely amount of money. And as Kathy said, it's not you, it was the way it was set up. And it was the way it was sold to this town. This is what it was sold to the town. Because I can remember sitting in the back, our previous town recorder stood up and said, in year 3, it will be profitable.
I remember sitting right here in this seat and making them say that out loud.
Yes, yes. So.
No way.
This kitchen started out at about $300,000 on a little 1-acre lot down there diagonally across from the school too. And it's grown to what you just said.
Yeah. So it's going to be extremely important that we try to find funding streams to help support it financially, not give us a little grant that's gonna do this. I'm talking about yearly funding, because I don't see we can keep funding and losing $100,000+ a year on the kitchen. And it's
Yeah,
only
we have
served,
citizens driving on roads that are falling apart.
yeah, and it's
And-
only, and we only have a few citizens actually from the town using it. Because if you kick out your fit clean meals,
Why would we pick them out? They live here.
I mean, just take them off the list or whatever.
and if you take out fit clean meals and the Unicoi County Joint Economic Development Board of 166 hours, you have only like 44 hours of use by town of Unicoi or Unicoi citizens. I used your numbers, okay? So basically, we're having very few town of Unicoi and Unicoi County residents using that kitchen. And that's what it was set up for originally, as a community kitchen.
Well,
Right?
could like, MTASC is, down in, Knoxville, could they help? You know, I think they could, or maybe our economic board, we pay into that every year. We got also a regional one around and invite them in and see what they can do.
I have a list of names,
Yeah, with that.
a list of names that we could at least put together and brainstorm, and that network might lead us
Well,
to some other things.
I think her kitchen committee could help go out and search for these. Like I said, Food City, Fleming's, you got John City, could the town, John City help us? Could Irwin help us?
Well, that was the suggestion that they gave for the kitchen committee to do that, because they were the ones that got the interest in it and started it out and could do that. You know, that was the suggestion in the book.
Right.
That's where, well, I've been very vocal. That's where I'd like to see you and some of the kitchen leadership go. I will participate. I am absolutely willing to get on board. I don't mind a bit, but I'm sure you have kitchen folks that also don't mind to do presentations and talk. But I think we have to get out there. And I'm willing, I'm on board. But somebody's got to be doing some groundwork to get some things set up. And I would suggest maybe one of the first things we can do is get back with economic development and look at that list of people and organizations and see if we can pull at least one brainstorm session together. And then define where we want to go. But I think that's going to have to happen.
I agree with you, and I think everybody on the kitchen committee would as well.
All right, I will take the responsibility to make that contact and at least get that first, even if it's just 3 or 4 of us together, 5 of us at one spot, and then decide what names to contact further. But I'll do the initial, okay? You, any board members, your kitchen folks, we probably don't need more than 5 or 6 if it gets too layered. But anyway, get economic development, let's get us at the table.
If
Figure out
anybody's
which way to go.
got skills in marketing, is what, if there's anybody on your committee that's got skills in marketing,
Fundraising ability, that's, yeah.
I mean, because this is gonna be a real selling job, is, you know, again, it's gonna boil down to, if I'm the CEO, now tell me why I need to write the check.
Well,
That's what it's going, right, Roger?
Yes.
it's like the food packaging, you know, it's gotta look right to trigger imagination, it's kind of the right words to trigger.
And then
Or selling.
there again, then you can get some foundations that's got money that they're not really looking to get anything back. They just want to do
To
that.
support.
Yes.
But it's gotta be a yearly thing. It can't be just a one shot deal.
Right.
Well, that's our goal. We're gonna start here.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with that. And we'll keep refining our goals. And the goals are gonna be, you know, linked in here. They're gonna be linked in with what these suggested action plan activities were.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of work in identifying those people already.
And I went back through that list. I think there were some others, at least resource, network resource that we might can plug in.
I guess I got one more question. I think you and I talked about this before, and my question was the first week I was doing this job is, if I can read my question here, it is, where do you find customers and how do customers find you? Or are you easily linked to where people can find you, or how do you pursue customers?
So I had a slide there on our social media. We do a lot of advertising through our social media. So we do Facebook, Instagram, those classes that we talked about, those workshops. That's a really important way for us to build the pipeline for customers. Word of mouth continues to be the number one. We ask that when people get started, how did you hear about that? How did you hear about us? Word of mouth continues to be the top avenue. We advertise in some local food guides. And then, just kind of networking within the community is really important. Answer your question.
I have one more question, and this is something that I brought up probably 3 or 3.5 years ago, and I didn't like it then. I still don't like it. And that is that no one can come to your door at the office up there and ring a doorbell and get your attention. I think we need a doorbell, and if someone drives up, you should be able to answer the door and talk to them or say, look, let's make a schedule.
So, and pre-COVID, we always have the door open when I'm there. So people can come in, but since COVID, we've just had the door locked, which is just a safety precaution for people that are working there. I think we haven't considered a doorbell. I mean, that's probably a good idea, just not always in my office. But, yeah.
We approached this election as an open door policy and total transparency, and walking up and seeing a sign that says, please call to make an appointment. That just seems like it turns people off.
I think you have to consider where we are at this point in time. People are dying all around us. And so when you have a sign at a door and say, I'm sorry, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And so, would you please
Well, but
set up an
we've
appointment?
got the welcome center open. You just walk in the front door.
Well, that needs to be changed.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
I know school systems, businesses, everywhere, every place I know, they're locking down right now until we get over these high numbers.
But this has been from day one, not just recently.
Well, but we're talking now.
Well,
So this is where we are now.
But like I said, I think we need to be more community friendly. I'm sorry, that's just my thoughts.
Well, then after this pandemic, then that can be revisited.
Something to
Yep.
continue to think about.
Yep.
Lee, I don't know if you have to finish. Was there anything else in your slides that you would like to wrap up with?
I just wanted to make one comment though, as much as I've read about this type of kitchen elsewhere, there's tons of information on the internet, as we all know, but there are so many success stories, and it does provide, I mean, you just have to get a community together. You've really got to search out those places where they are, and I think we could bring people here from outside of our area easily. But again, I mean, nothing magical is going to happen in the middle of a major pandemic and in the middle of winter. Two things going against us at this point in time. And so as we move forward, it's going to be a slower process because of where we are right now. But as in order to keep this running, I agree with everyone. We've got to find some alternatives, but there are so many success stories out there, and we could play off of so many of those stories and find some answers, legitimate answers that will be sustainable for the future.
Yeah.
So,
And we're even helping Johnson City because the businesses, a lot of them are locating or say they were going to, so we need to visit maybe some of them with their
See, once we
economic
give
board.
them that data.
We
got to give them that.
I just,
Real quick, I've got a quick one, really easy one. Of the folks that are preparing foods, how are most of these people buying their food items that are going into their products, or are any of your producers that have used the kitchen, I said your producers, kitchen users, are they growing their own and then producing an item out of it?
Right. We don't have any value-added products, right?
Okay, so it's not seasonal related necessarily.
I mean, that some of them will source seasonally, but they're not actually growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
the girl that Laura Elliott, that's from Irwin, that's been doing these programs for the first responders. had a conversation with her this last week. She's tried to call you a couple of times, and I'm not sure if she got the right number or not. She couldn't even tell me. She said, I have 3 kids. I don't have my notes on at my fingertips. But her and some of the folks that she knows, and she's not got back with me. Like I said, I talked to her last week, and she is interested in doing, it would be, what, a 50, what do you call it, the non-profit?
501c3.
Yes, she's interested in starting a trial run of a free meal to hungry people in our county. And she and I talked for over an hour what it would involve. And she had heard a lot about the kitchen, and she was interested, and I told her to get back with the ladies that she'd been talking with, see if they're still involved, and maybe make sure she got to talk to you. But it would probably be free for a while. She would be needing some free services. Well, what they was talking about, once or twice a month, cooking free meals. She said maybe 200 free meals, maybe one meal would be, say, spaghetti, bread, maybe a little salad and a little cake, a piece of cake or something, and giving it away. And she would be having to find free labor, free food. But if we could find some programs even to let people use that, but these other groups pay for their use because they would be supporting needy people. It doesn't have to be a direct source. Now, I don't know if she can still get the people, but I told her maybe we could let her come over there and cook a meal of 50, 2 or 3 weeks, and she may say, hey, we can do this.
That's the not commerce user, right?
And some of the people that has the money to do that will give, because I know I've helped with our church food ministry, and they said that they had people that would come in there. They wanted to give money to people they know were helping other people.
She said what they had in mind is like if they done, I said, how many people would you like to cook for your first time? She said, well, we had in mind 200. Now, I don't know what it would be today, but this was back 6 weeks ago. But these guys right here will tell you they've been giving out a lot of free stuff. I know different groups, they've been taking a lot of free food, and it's just a group of individuals that just wanting to be nice to paramedics, police, nurses, first responders, search team. Bart said they got some of the finest food he ever ate. I guess their last meeting. But, you know, if she could start getting something like that, maybe that's going in the back door to get funding, but to get funding for the pay to use that for part-time use. And who knows, you know, Muncie Memorial, I got a friend who just was a general contractor he works for. They hired him to completely rebuild Muncie Memorial's kitchen. They spent several $100,000 redoing that kitchen. They feed about 150 homeless a day over there. And it's this concept these girls are talking about is the very bare roots of what they've done for 25 years over there. They've done worn out one kitchen and started on another one. I don't know if it can go anywhere. I'm just presenting the idea.
Well, maybe they do. I cooked a lot of food.
How much scholarship money's left?
They don't cook it in the kitchen, people bring it in.
Yeah, but now they're cooking, they got all kinds of stuff.
From the town of Unicoi, I mean, the way that, and it's not super clear how that was defined, and if it was a year that we were doing it, or.
Didn't somebody
I
give
don't know
3 or
if this is
5,000
or not,
scholarship money for people, local residents come in
It's
use?
a conversation.
The town of Unicoi did that in 2 years ago in the budget,
Is it all gone?
but we haven't, you know, we didn't renew it each year. It didn't all get used. I mean, we never.
Well, I thought somebody donated that money to the kitchen to use for
The
people.
town donated the money for the kitchen to
The
give
town
away.
designated, yeah, it wasn't.
Wait.
All right. We're gonna wrap up kitchen?
Yep.
Did you get to finish?
Sure.
Sorry.
This is the last slide about the impact that we've had since opening. So we've served over 240 entrepreneurs, helped start 36 new businesses, and create 97 jobs, which is pretty impressive under their years. And way over, this is a really busy slide, but it's way over our projections and what even our 5-year, these are 5-year goals for ARC. So we're exceeding our expectations.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I will, I'll do this one part. I'll make some contact. We're gonna arrange something to start getting some people on track to see what we can build some more support. Come up with a plan. Intermission.
You want-
I said little intermission.
Sit here. I don't think anybody's joining, but this is just kind of in the background.
Lee, I can shut stuff down. You want to go, or Eli's here too. Eli's really good about, he's better at technology than I am.
You just go over and unplug the plug.
No, no, I mean, like you stop, that's what I do. You stop recording, you stop YouTube,
I'm being good.
and it's restored to the cloud, right?
I believe so.
I think that's pretty much what it is. Yes, yes, you, yeah.
I think it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, got it.
That's what I do on my computer when it gets ornery.
Yeah, just unplug. Well, if you call the help desk at the med center, I've already done that for you. I wonder what that page was like. We're gonna watch the clock and you have 1 hour.
I will have this in about 15 minutes.
You gonna talk that fast?
That's the only slide.
Yeah. Oh, that's the only slide, okay.
That's all you need to know.
Good.
Well,
Aaron was in there, wasn't he?
Well, the big thing is,
Okay, I thought there was Aaron.
I just want to make sure everybody knew who everybody was. So, I mean, look, you know, we're one big family. It's not just me doing this presentation. It's going to be doing it for everybody because we all work together and have one mission. So we want to come here for the support and make sure everybody knows who everybody is. Because Aaron's a night owl. You know, y'all probably don't get to see him much, but he makes a lot of noise. Everybody knows Jimmy. Everybody loves Eli and Jay.
Let everybody stand up and say their name.
Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
You don't know me, right?
No, we don't know you.
I'm Jay Elliott. I'm the old guy.
Jimmy Irwin.
I'm Eli. I'm Aaron Ember.
Okay.
Are y'all done with the intermission? You
Dad, anybody want to go back or anything? You want to go ahead? Okay. You're it.
I was gonna talk a little bit about the police department. Of course, that's our patch. And the year we're in. That's a video, it's not gonna work. This is who we are and what we do. Everybody kind of knows what police departments and everything does. As officers of town Unicoi, we patrol, make sure all the citizens and visitors are safe. That's our main focus. We have really, really, really good officers. I can't stress that enough. The officers we have, the experience and the education it's great. The officers that's with this agency, and when all work with me, I put them up against anybody, the small number we got, because these guys are respectful. They go out there and do their job. A lot of times out there by themselves at night. You wouldn't believe how many times, you know, Jimmy and Aaron out by themselves or something at night, you go into a big situation and handle it great. And I mean, they are excellent officers. And, you know, and it's one of the reasons they're here, you know, because it's not about me, it's about everybody. But that's kind of like our mission statement. And, you know, we want to grow with the town and strive to build a better community by keeping the needs of Unicoi's citizens at heart, while continuously providing fair, impartial, and efficient service to the public and citizens. That's why we're here. Every one of these guys, we're bought into this community. We're not just police. you know, this other day, like everybody, well, Eli wasn't able to make it, but we had structure fire on Lanningham. Was it Saturday? Saturday, we were all there. I left the house, went to the scene, put on fire gear, on Aaron. Jay was there because we ended up having some chaos. Not only we helped extinguish the fire, after that, we were out at the law people because they was getting crazy. And 4 of us are state certified firefighters. Eli and Aaron just recently went through the school. I went through the school back when I was just nugget, and Jimmy's been fighting fire since when they were out on horseback. Yeah. He probably was first class through fire school. But all of us are members of Unicoi except for Jimmy. Jimmy's kind of been there at Southside forever, but he still, if there's structure fire or something in town, Jimmy come help. And Jimmy is an EMT also. And what we're working with the Unicoi County EMS to try to get an emergency first response. EMR is what's called, but it's a first responder class. And we're all gonna go through it. So not only
They have the science.
Yeah.
Science.
So we're working to do that and have a class so we can all be not only firefighters and police officers, but first responders.
They can take a test.
Yeah.
I mean, they can take a test out of the class at the high school.
That'd be great. We're looking into that because
They're having some issues right now.
Were they? Have you already talked to them about that?
Yeah, my son's not trouble.
Is Rachel?
It's the COVID thing.
I know it's
Yeah.
bad.
Not get the
They can't get their
certification.
clinical hours in. So right now, in the class, they can't
They
get
got that
their
little
certificate.
Okay,
They're working on it.
okay. Anyway, it's there.
not the biggest reason why we want to do stuff like that, because when we're out here on the street and, you know, we're not just out here to try to, you know, keep people safe. We want to, when we're doing that, you keep people safe by you know, we're usually first ones on scene to a structure fire. And also EMS, we have a great EMS system now, but a lot of times, you know, still can be the first ones there. So anything we can do to better help the citizens, that's our focus. We're just not trying to put people in jail. We want to save lives too. And with us being out here on the street, we're really close to everything out here. I think that's going to be something really big in our future for our department. We've been doing a lot with the community. We did the shop with the cop, the Santa's toy drive with the fire department. We try to work with all the events that goes on in the community. That we've been working, try to do that Explorers program, but with COVID, that kind of hurt. We are always involved with funeral escorts that come through here. A lot of times we lead them coming out of Unicoi Funeral Home. Working with Ashley, directing traffic at all the events. We always try to have officers there. Also on our website, we have extra patrol requests that the citizen can come out and put on there. And we extra patrol if they're going out of town, go walk around their house. That's one thing that we always really do and take very serious. We have a lot of them extra patrol requests come in actually. Past year numbers, 14 DUIs. We made 133 arrests and summonses. The traffic stops and citations, we just started using in March. So some of these are down. The traffic stops, 243. We did a lot more, which is a lot of times the traffic stops are listed when we end up issuing paper, which is the citations, and 276 reports generated. But like I said, that's from March. We've had a lot more of those. And like it says, reporting software shows a spike in incidents in the late afternoon. A lot of our wrecks, you can look at our report system, a lot of our wrecks are 5 o'clock all the time. And our domestics and traffic, all of it's in the evening. A lot of it's in the evening. We do have a lot of wrecks during the day too, with a lot of traffic are out. We had a lot during the snow. Aaron's seen that firsthand. But you can see we're really busy. We stay busy, we stay active. And so far this month, we've already made 8 arrests. So it's just the 11th. So Jimmy made one. The situation report, y'all blessed us so we can have really good vehicles. We end up getting 3 vehicles for pretty much the price of 1. All vehicles are out up and running. Ground Vic number 2, second one still needs to get striped. So we have plenty of vehicles, and what people ask, why so many? So we ain't putting miles on them, on just one. You can see some of that like NFS and all these other agencies, they're running one car all the time. We can spread out the mileage. These cars will last us a lot more. And it's good to have for events, especially coming up if we are blessed enough to have the Strawberry Festival. You want a lot of cars out there for traffic and everything else. Evidence lockers, we've got the evidence lockers over there. We're working, make sure we're getting put in, and we will have good evidence because our little evidence closet got full. That's wrong right there, the full-time investigator. But we had the 6 men, 5 of us are here. That's not a full-time investigator, it's a part-time investigator. But the 2, we actually have 3 part-time, and I'm the only full-time, and 2 reserve officers. And hopefully you'll be able to add in the reserve officers soon to help us out too. But the reserve officers, the difference between the part-time and the reserves, state recognized certification. The part-time officers, which is Harmon, Jimmy, and Aaron, they're all state certified, so they can all work on their own by themselves out here at night. And me, of course, I'm certified too. Eli and Jay, huge helps, but they don't have the certification, so they're always working with us. So you'll see them out riding. We'll be out too. They can go out and do all the powers. Just they have to have a certified officer there with us. The fiber and phone, we're working on the phone and system, get the phone system up. And SRO, I know y'all been mentioning on that. We can discuss that, whatever y'all want to discuss on that. He asked me the other day about it, and I told him it was going to be up to the board, and that's where we stand. I'm do whatever y'all decide to do. So that's maybe something we can discuss here tonight. And this is a big thing too. This is really, really important to me, is community policing. This is the statistics from the National Institute of Justice. I said that correct, right? Okay. We're big trying to be a part of the community. You see Jay riding around, he'll stop and sit and talk to somebody on the front porch, just to talk to them. We have people coming in and out of the office all the time, just want to talk to us. Okay. As you see, this is National Institute of Justice. So this is legitimate facts. 99% improved cooperation between citizens and police. We have that. We have a very high solvability rate through TBI because we are one with the citizens. That's how you solve a lot of your crimes, is with people. People come up and tell us information. That's big on us. That's we try to be one with the community. And with us being a small department, people know us by name. They see us coming down, see us sitting on the side of the road. People go up and talk to us. And you see 80% reduced citizens' fear of crime, 62% fewer crimes against persons after 1 year. And you always ask, well, we didn't have this crime before y'all got here. I've been told that.
Yeah, we did. We just didn't know about it.
It was here. It was here.
Yep.
And you're going to see, you can go through TBI statistics right now. Go to TBI and see the statistics. We're making a difference. Our small group of guys, we are bought in for this community, and we're making a difference. And it's proven by facts. And its advantages: dedicated police presence in the town. 3 times we can look through the facts. Through 911, we have faster response time, more intimate knowledge of the citizens in areas. What I was just talking about before, we're in with the people, and we often have, if we're not working, people will call us and say they'll wait for us to come out. And it's not saying we love the sheriff's department. We work really good with them. You might get along great. All the deputies get along great. They all want to work here. And everybody says, well, we want to make sure the sheriff's department does citizens pay county taxes. The sheriff's department's going to do their part too. Well, they do. They serve all the civil processes within the town of Unicoi. They house all the prisoners. They back us up because a lot of times these guys are out here by themselves. So an officer presence out here by themselves, get domestic, the sheriff's department's going to come back us up. They're always good about backing us up, and we back them up. We work one and one together, but it's, sometimes there can be on that end. So, but the sheriff's department, they still do their part. They do all the all the processes, all the writ of possessions. Well, we've helped them with some of those. And it's Unicoi moving forward. You know, you're getting the travel center, getting the increase of traffic, increase of people, increase of accidents, increase of crime. It's going to happen. There's going to be more traffic on that exit out there than you can probably compare it down there to 37 at night. There's going to be a lot of traffic come through, a lot of different people. It's not just going to be your average Unicoi citizen. You're going to have a lot of different people. I feel that we'd like to have more officer presence. Because I mean, would you want your family working there? And the officer might be in Irving, right off the interstate. But moving the police department forward with aiding the town's progression, you know, that's some statistics on what I would think if we ever got the chance to add additional full-time officer. And you know, when we go to presenting budgets and everything like that, you know, that's definitely stuff we can iron out. But you know, a lot of our crimes happen on second shift. These guys are great. These guys are part-time. Aaron works a full-time job. Jimmy works a full-time job. You know, a lot of times, you know, they cover a lot of times during the evening, but they can't be here all the time. That's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Which one you want first?
I give them to me.
Okay. This is all about the paperwork, okay?
Mhm.
I'm sure y'all got the answers, but we're all new here except these two, I guess. Well, no, me and her's new. Policy and procedures manual, do y'all have that?
We do.
So it's on file and
It's on file. I can, it's also on PDF and I can email you.
that'd be good. Now, insurance. Is everybody that's working for you bonded and have bond and casualty insurance?
Yes, we are. They're all on there.
Every one of them's on there?
Yes. Now,
Even reserves.
the reserves are on there. They're low cost per year, but they're made sure Judy.
I'm just all about liability.
I
You don't
understand.
know that about me. I mean, you
understand.
talked to, and then I got two questions that's probably in one question. You know, I think I tell you I'm the Skinner claim.
Mhm.
And I hear these pursuits because somebody's going a little out of control, way out of control, from a little to way. I guess my question is, what is your policy on pursuits? And at what level is your use of force?
Use of force on what? Are you just different?
Any kind of force to arrest?
We have a use of force policy, okay?
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, it's very strict use of force policy. We can go right into it. We'll start off with your first question with the pursuits. The pursuits, we have a strict pursuit policy too. Now, a lot of times, the county boys will chase, every time they get in a pursuit, it ends up coming through Unicoi. And we don't want a county officer going by themselves in a pursuit, because a lot of times, sometimes county's shorthanded when they get in these pursuits, they're by themselves. We will only chase per policy for a felony act that just occurred or is occurring then.
So if they're
Okay.
doing 90 miles an hour, do you call the pursuit off?
It depends on where they're going 90 miles per hour. If they're going 90 miles per hour on Goose Road, we're going to chase them because that's felony. If they're going 90 miles per hour on the interstate, we're not going to chase them. And you know, there's
So
a
is
lot
there
of
a
things.
point you call it off? If
A
you,
lot of things goes with the pursuit.
because you
you
know
have-
where
I understand.
I've heard all these scenarios, and it's like some will say
Are we going to
it's
chase?
called off, and some of it is I'm gonna die before I stop. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you get them attitudes from zero.
Now I did say felony, but there is a misdemeanor pursuit. Well, I feel like it's our obligation to stop an intoxicated driver. Okay. Now, are we gonna, if we feel like someone's intoxicated driving on the wrong side of the road or in the middle of the day, there's also a lot of things that play into our pursuit policy. You got weather, you got time of day, you got traffic. Now, if it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the traffic's full, are we gonna chase somebody for speed? No. And another thing goes into it. We will go and attempt to get the tag number of the vehicle so we can try to identify them and catch them later. I'm all about trying to catch them at their home when they get to their home. If you get somebody coming through here, going through town at 80 miles an hour, we'll come up and get the tag number. If they're going to Irwin, we'll have a county officer waiting for them when they get there.
I agree with that.
Okay. When it comes to
All
use
about
of force,
safety. All about safety.
my main focus is these guys and myself going home. When it comes to use of force, we're usually one step above them. If somebody's coming at me with a knife and they're running at me, we're going to do what we can to go home. That's the last thing we want to do, but that's what we will do. We're not just coming out here bashing people on the head for nothing, for
But you
yelling
got
at us.
procedures in your books.
We do have
That's
policies
where
and
I'm going.
procedures, and that's why we're blessed with these experienced guys that's out here that know what to do and know we're not just going to come out here and smack somebody for yelling at us. We have a strict use of force policy that we follow. It's a lot of the guidelines from the federal down. So that's
part of your training, right?
yeah,
That's
and
part
we
of
go
your-
through a lot of training. A lot of people say you have the use of force continuum, but that can change. You know, you don't want to have to go through all the steps if somebody pulls a gun on you. We usually meet their force or go one step above.
I've talked to several different people in several different counties.
Mhm.
And I even spoke with Jimmy a little while the other day, and you know, that same sound I'm getting all the way around. And the one thing I'm getting from everybody is it's got to be in your policy and procedures book.
Yes, if it's not, then we can be sued.
That goes back to the 14th Amendment, I've been told. And if you've got your policies and procedures in place, then your insurance will work.
Yes, and Judy Housley's also had a copy of our policies and procedures, so she liked it.
She's in Texas.
Yeah, she's.
I'm just
she
saying,
speaks Public Entity Partners. That's her
Oh, I'm
insurance.
sorry, yeah, not in Texas.
Used to be
Pool people.
TML, but now
But
TML pool.
we're very strict on use of force. And we're big on our use of force reports. And the part of our policy is if we have to do a use of force, because there's times we have, and majority of times, a lot of times it's been me. We have to do a use of force report. We forward it to, I get a copy and give it to Lois. She reviews it, makes sure everything's good. And every time we've ever had to use force, which to me, in a part of our policy, if we pull a gun on somebody, that's force, and we do a report on it. So we're really strict about our documentation and our paperwork about our use of force, and we forward it to Miss Lois, and she reviews it. She hasn't had a problem with anything that we've done yet. You know, or I'm not saying yet, but she hadn't had a problem with anything we've done.
Have you ordered your spike strips yet?
No, not yet. I'll get to it.
Okay,
I've been working trying to find the cheapest one.
okay, all right.
And also been trying to get, we've also, all these guys have taser training, so I've been trying to get us some stuff, working, try to get a grant, try to get some tasers, and that's another part of our, going to be another part of our use of force. Also, I was going somewhere else with that. Somebody asked me a question, so I'll get.
On your strips, use the word value, don't use cheapest, please.
Understand. What I'm saying,
Cheapest with
We-
bag.
He could throw out a bag of that toy jacks or something. And have
See,
it under.
hey, I'm sure Aaron can make us something really good.
my son would say, get the best ones when they're on sale.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Aaron can make us something. Well, like I said, we got a good group of guys. We were always focused to try to do the right way for the citizens. And
Is there any grants for you to buy cars?
Eli's working. Eli's our brain, and he's been looking at hardcore about getting us some stuff for grants with vehicles and stuff like that. So hopefully we
Maybe you can get a grant for tasers too.
yeah.
Let's talk about SRO.
Yes.
When do you
Before we
have
do
to
that,
put?
can I just say, I was at work one day and I had a neighbor call me saying that I had a robbery in progress at my home. And actually that's how we perceived it to be. Someone was on my property without permission, leaving with things from my property. Turned out they weren't very valuable, but they did take some things, and I've had multiple robberies. But I immediately called and Andy answered, and they immediately came to my home and we communicated through the phone. I stayed at work and they took care of everything. It was, I guess, 2 hours later, maybe an hour and a half, they had the suspect. They had him, got him and talked to him and took care of all of that. So, I mean, it was right there, and the communication was excellent. we were talking nonstop and they were keeping me informed on what was going on. I didn't have to leave work, which I don't know that I would have felt safe if I actually thought that guy was coming back to my property at the time. But anyway, I just want to commend you all on how effective and how efficient you were in dealing with that issue. And that was just amazing. And you're just right on top of it. So I appreciate it.
That's why we work to be, and you know, and that's how you do a lot of this with us being small. In a way that could be a benefit because everybody has a buy into the department, and we all work together and follow up with our victims. Try to follow up every day with our victims and just talk, communicate, and I never want to leave this small town because this is how I want it to be forever. Just here with these guys hopefully for a long time. And I don't want no huge, big, 5, 10, 20 years down the road. I don't want no huge, big, elaborate department. You know, I'm happy with it being this small town feel like we got. You know, as the town grows, you know, there's going to be more things happening. Hopefully, if we're blessed enough, we can bring in some more people to our family. You know, but I'll be all up to y'all.
SRO. When does permits requests have to be in to get the grants to cover the whole cost?
What was the date on that?
The grant submitted through the school board.
The school board. Yeah, the school board.
Tammy Larkey has to do it.
They distribute funds.
And I've been in communication with Tammy Larkey and Mr. English. Me and Mr. English we've talked about it several times. That's something that's the grant was distributed to the sheriff's department from the school board. And I think the school is 75% grant, the school covers the other 25%.
When is Mr. Hensley's at?
It's every year. It goes through every year. That's what you had to do too, wasn't it? With that, it
Gives
gives.
a year-to-year grant.
I thought somebody said we could get a 3-year.
Department of Justice puts out, those is usually 3 years. First year is like 100%, next year 75, next year 50, then the fourth year they want you to pick it up and it's supposed to create jobs that way. I don't know if that's still available.
There is a cost grant that's available through the Department of Justice, but the SRO grant to the school will be the way to go.
It pays it all, it pays all of it. You don't
Okay.
have to worry about staging it down percentage wise.
Again, do we have to submit something to the school board?
With that, the school board, we'd have to go to the school board meetings when they do this stuff. And Mr. English he's supposed to be in contact with me and let me know when that is.
The next big meeting is Thursday night, but they're going to be discussing whether we actually go back in person on the 19th. Numbers are still high, and so again, the possibility that we're going to remain on virtual or at least remote is pretty good right now. I don't know, but they will decide. They may decide to go back the 19th. But that was my question. If we go forward with this and no one's physically having to be there, how does that play into what we're putting into it? If, let's say we go virtual all year, I don't think that's going to happen. But what if we did?
Well, if the town pitches in funds the SRO for the rest of the year, they'd be on patrol. That's what the SROs are doing now, even the ones that's on the grant. The ones on the grant through the sheriff's department, they're right now assistant patrol. And they would just be extra manpower for us.
So if I can recall, when I had that safety position with the school system, I think those grants got submitted like it was a July.
It's
It was in the summer.
yeah, sorry, it's a summer
Yeah,
grant.
it was a summer thing. It wasn't a complicated grant process.
No.
It was more filling out documentation and whatnot.
And a lot of it was for, if there wasn't an SRO at that school before or something, there was a grant. There was a grant that was for that reason, but they've had an SRO at that school.
Okay, you're on with Tom, Tammy and John, and y'all are good to go.
Yes, ma'am.
But that grant goes through the sheriff's department
It goes,
from the school board, so it really doesn't affect us. It's the sheriff's department that deals with that. Is that
Yes.
correct?
and they're having the issues with manpower. So that's why they just want to free up an officer.
They want one of the hours to be, does the sheriff's department want to give us the money Put that one of ours in down there, is that what you're saying?
That's above my pay grade, I believe.
No, that wasn't what he
No,
said.
that's not what he's saying.
No, there's,
Kathy, could you get Debbie to get a hold of the school board and really get all the details on this so we
Or I
don't
will
miss
talk
that?
to Tammy.
Or you do it?
Yeah, I'll talk to Tammy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am, I think Eli.
Yeah, that was-
For something, but I just think there's been so much conversation, I'm just gonna say, I'm not, nothing that I'm about to say, am I intending it to be negative at all. But there just seems to be a lot of conversation or a lot of comments, a lot of perception with the county sheriff's department that things aren't as firm and as solid as they have been in the past. I feel like I've heard the sheriff's department wants us to provide the SRO. He'll put a county officer out there, but we'll have to pay for it. There's a lot of staff leaving the sheriff's department. I feel like I've been hearing just a whole lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to say this. I want our children safe and our faculty and staff safe at Unicoi Elementary. I want us to participate in the school system with a safety grant that allows an SRO to be at that location. Okay, that serves our citizens well. Virtually all of our citizens and more children go there. Okay, grandchildren as well. Deal? I want us to be cautious. And I think I've said this to Andy, and I need to word this as carefully as I can. I want us to be cautious that we don't get ourselves wrapped up in stuff that our citizens are paying county taxes for, that they should get in return for their county taxes, just because it's not happening somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Amen.
I agree.
Okay.
Now, I think,
There's excuse after excuse. just-
there is some Irwin City officers that's in the school systems. There's one at Rock Creek, and then there's one at the middle school. But I think they're
100%.
funded by the grant too.
Three of them are good.
There's two Irwin City officers, and then the county provides for the high school, Temple Hill, Unicoi, and Love Chapel.
Is it because they're in the city, more limits is why for them or not?
I think so. I think the school board got them that grant.
Well, see, I wonder if we can apply for our own through Tammy, through the schools to get our own, that money just comes through us.
That's what I was leading
Yeah,
a while ago.
Yeah.
I'll call John tomorrow.
You want to call them? Okay.
I'll
that's
call
fine.
John tomorrow.
All right, I've got one for you. And this may be challenging, but help me understand, because I wasn't privy to a lot of the conversation prior. Help me understand the expectation for our police department related to code enforcement.
We have actually issued some code violations since this recently. We're going to be more active on investigating code violations. We're going to be issuing some more citations. We've worked a lot previously, but we've handled a lot just via warning, especially down through here with grass. We've handled a lot of things. It's actually been, we've got a lot of compliance by just going to talking to people, because a lot of people at that point in time didn't know the code. So we work a lot with just education at first. If we start having more of a hindrance and people not listening, that's when we're going to start doing some more enforcement. We're just going to start being a lot more aggressive on that.
A code citation, is it going to show up on that same report that you did as a citation, or is that going to be a different
We can start
document?
producing the numbers for code violations.
And keep them separate. We're going
Yes.
to keep them separate, just so we kind of have an idea. Okay, is our, I don't know if you or any of the other guys have issued any kind of code violation citation, but is our code policy good? Does it work? Even do we need to go back and look? It took us a long time to get that passed. But does it work? If it's something we need to look at,
Well, one thing,
I'm just gonna throw that out there. I don't know.
one thing, when we first started working on the code violations, I contacted Johnson City and they sent a code enforcement officer over. And we had a pretty long day with them, just communication and educating me on different things. A lot of I think I would like to see it be a little bit more descriptive when it comes to the punishment. Johnson City, I mean, I don't want to go that far with them because they'll tear down your house. I mean, if it's in violation of code, they'll tear down your house. Now, we don't need to be doing all that, I don't think, but I mean, it's up to you all whether that's the case, not up to me, but they're very strict on their stuff. Ours is pretty basic, and I'm okay with that. It's effective for what we need.
Well, sometimes you don't want things to be too rigid because you're locked in.
One thing,
You need a little bit of judgment.
one thing this is a lot with me, like way I kind of focus on this, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm going to treat things different through here than I am in some of our rural farmer areas, and that, to me, a lot of that's just common sense. Like, there's people out there working on the farm, a dead end road or something. Now, if we start getting complaints on it, then yeah, we'll handle it.
But you said something really, really important that you may not have realized you've said. But if I'd never heard you speak, your program of getting to know citizens, somebody's out by their mailbox, nobody's around. Hello, sir, everything going good today? That makes so much difference to so many individuals.
Mhm.
And you get you a network of eyes out there helping you. You throw them a card. And I like that as much as anything you said y'all are doing, is you're getting to know our citizens, but they're also getting to know you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I almost called you Andy Polly's living up in an apartment off of Swadley. She asked me if I'd call you to ask you to go down to Walmart to get her medicine for her.
Oh, we wouldn't mind doing that for her. We went by and checked on her.
Well,
I know some,
let me just today, taking off on it. Eli, well, actually Andy got the welfare call. So he was tied up. Eli and I took care of it. But we went to visit this lady. She called 911 because her telephone wasn't working.
Number 6.
yeah.
Eli fixed her phone. I fixed it last week. She said, "Oh, by the way, guys, while you're here, could you go get my mail?"
That's why she called you.
So she gives me her mailbox. I got her mail today. So
She will not, she accused me of wiretapping her phone.
you broke her.
Yeah, we don't put that tap
This
on
was
it.
3 or 4 months ago. She accused me of wiretapping her phone, and she accused me of hiring Danny Bryant to crawl underneath the house, and she accused 2 of the Mexican men that mowed for me of climbing the back and going up on the roof and doing it. And finally, when she quit calling me every name in the book, I said, "Do you want to know how everybody, when her son died, she, like a month later, she called Andy to come to her house." Well, she called 911 and asked an officer to come. Well, he went. I heard him on the scanner. I said, "Now, that old ex-friend that you didn't want to know that you had an officer at your house, can I tell you how she found out? She thought I wiretapped and told her." I said,
Great.
"Man, everybody in the county's got a scanner. 900 Virginia Street, Unit 6. I said, "Everybody
Are we
knows
still recording?
where you live. They
How
have
do
the
you-
911 phone. I mean, you can call them."
Yes.
She talked to me like that.
Yeah, we ain't got nobody on there now.
Andy,
The point is, that's kind of what we do.
No, yeah.
when you say code enforcement,
Thank goodness.
how do you get turned on?
How do I,
How do you get turned on for code enforcement?
a lot of times citizens are really big about griping about their neighbor's property. And a lot of it too is, a lot of it's patrol, and we went down there to, that right through here, y'all probably know it's bad. They never mow their yard. And I'll go up there and remind them that
With the dogs on a chain out front.
yeah,
Across from Clarence's.
yeah,
Okay, do you all have a copy of our municipal code, which has all that stuff in it?
Yes.
Everybody knows what that is,
yes.
okay?
They've all received copies and they're, and like Aaron and Jimmy, most of the time they work late in the evening, so I don't expect them to do a lot of code enforcement. But me, Jay, and Eli, we'll do a lot of code enforcement. We handle a lot of
See,
that.
and that's another good reason for these things to be published on our website.
That's correct.
Because a lot of people that don't know.
Don't know that we passed a court.
They don't come to meetings, so-
A code.
Right.
And I was gonna fill in a little bit too. We actually have an on-call thing, so on-call schedule each month. Me and Harmon rotate. So if any major events happen, and even if we don't have somebody working, we will come out and be on call and handle it. Also, me, Jimmy, and Aaron were asked to assist the SWAT team. So we are actually a part of the SWAT team, the county SWAT team, for any type of events we wanted. It's good for, we have representation. If something happens, we're involved. Aaron's, very experienced officer from Asheville. Me and Jimmy both been on SWAT team before. So we are all members of the SWAT team too. That's good working relationship with the county.
I got one more thought for you, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't even know what I feel about it. You've mentioned that when the new traffic center builds and opens, we may have issues. Everybody in here don't have enough fingers and toes to count the times all you guys has been to the Walmart for shoplifting. Do we have a policy for shoplifting, and what do we expect out of the storage loss prevention agent?
From Walmart,
Yeah, or for them or anyone?
we work really well with the Walmart loss prevention officer.
Do they have to go to the courthouse and file the complaints, or do you? all have to?
It depends. It depends on the amount of money it's stolen. It depends on, whether each situation is different. A lot of times when you run into somebody shoplifting, you run into get the drug activity and stuff like that. We've charged a lot of people for shoplifting. A lot of times if it's something petty, we don't prosecute. Walmart will do that. People rolling out with $1,000 worth of stuff, we're going to take their finances to jail. Because that's felony. With each situation.
So that is where you kind of draw the line, the value.
And the value and a lot of times whether Walmart wants to prosecute or not. Sometimes they don't want to prosecute. Sometimes they just want to trespass. If we catch somebody or the Walmart calls us and the person's already been trespassed from Walmart, and now in the state of Tennessee, you can charge them for burglary, which is a felony. If they've been trespassing all that on property, and if they go in there and steal a $25 CD, that's burglary. And that's trying to deter people from shoplifting.
When one of my children worked at the Walmart in Elizabeth, and it was so common for people to come in the bathroom to use their drugs. There's a lot of that going down here too.
We don't actually have a lot of that on that problem. We have had a few calls from that, but that's a lot of people now just use it openly in the parking lot.
Is the blue and white tire place on your radar up here?
Yes,
Bless
yes.
you,
We've
bless you.
actually now we've got the owners of the property and we know how to make contact.
The vehicles down here we've talked about are moving. You noticed?
I charged him for a code violation.
He's not done, but he's
He's not done, but
he's progressive.
he's working on it. And, we're proud of our town. We want it to look good too. Every one of the guys here, we're proud. We want to represent the town well. We want people to come back to the town, and we'd like to see a lot of things done and cleaned up, and that's why we want to grow with the town. Hopefully, we've gave you all a good enough service for you all to want to invest in this.
Thank you, Andy. Anybody else? And you guys want to throw in a nickel or two?
Any complaints, anything you guys would want us to do differently than what we're doing?
I thought you directed that. Call in.
And I try to contact you all, and ask you, hey, Is everything going well? Anything we need to do different, you know? And
You're a good communicator, Andy. You're a good communicator, and that makes a big difference.
And I think I can say this for all the board. We'd like to buy every one of you a brand new vehicle and buy you everything you needed.
We accept.
And,
But
our limitations, it's not our feelings. It's,
and
it's the checkbook of the town.
and we're,
And I
and
hope all of you can know that we're not against none of you. My daddy raised me from the time I was the least little girl. We peddled produce and we would stop alongside the highway and give the highway patrolman apples and oranges for his snacks. I mean, I've done that ever since I was a kid. And I just want y'all to know, I think everybody here is in support of all of you, but we're limited what we can fund you.
and we all know that. We are aware, and we're not gonna try to overwhelm you. One thing that, you know, when I took this job, I knew, hey, there could be a risk to this in the future, but it's something I wanted to come in and show, hey, this is something great for every citizen out in the town, citizen and visitor. And we're gonna make it something for everybody to be proud of and change the minds of the people that's doubted. And show, you know, we're not against the sheriff's department. We want to work with the sheriff's department. We know that the town is limited on their budget. But we, you know, one thing we would like is to say, hey, you guys are doing great and don't want to ever get rid of us. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it.
Every one of these guys are invested. We all are proud of the town and we want y'all to be proud of us too.
I am.
Yeah, we
Thank you.
are.
Just like Andy kept saying, I kept looking at her shirt. What's your pride and the passion for y'all do your job? That's why we're here too. We have the passion to do the very best we can for residents.
And
just
it
like y'all
shows.
do.
Yeah, and it shows up in
It
your
does,
work.
it does.
One other thing, I mean, I know it's a small department and everything, but, and I mentioned this to Andy, anytime anybody wants to ride with me, you're more than welcome to.
You're liable to get some.
You can ride with me.
Yeah, we'll go get some donuts and coffee. That's what Wanda said, not me.
Like we were saying, we appreciate everything you guys do for us, okay? This man right here, I can't tell you how many thousands of dollars he's spent in his own money fixing the cars up. I work on them because that's what I do, I'm a mechanic. He not volunteers his time, we all do, because we want to make it successful, not only for Andy, but for everybody. And there's a lot of stuff that goes through this town that most of you guys are in the bed at night. That's like when Ashley rode with me, she couldn't believe what all we got into that night. I almost took a bullet that night.
This man needs a raise for riding with Ashley.
This time we're recording off yet? Okay.
Like that night, she was riding with me, and she just wanted to see what we did. She said, I thought all you guys did was stand on the side of the road talking.
Oh, my
Well, we
goodness.
actually got in a chase where there was